community of people that want to make work a better place. It's much easier to found with someone because you always have someone to bounce ideas with the days where you think, why am I even doing this? What is really important is open communication and to involve the people, like not just the managers, not just the team leads. We are human beings who crave to connect, who crave to have relationships.
Hello and welcome to Coffee and Oysters, the London Business Babe podcast, where we get you together with business tips that actually work and let you know where it's worth tapping your oyster around the city. My name is Frances Adira Matthews. I am a certified Notion consultant and founder of the Notion Bar, where I get my clients together with personalized productivity systems built in Notion. Details in the show notes. And for my system-loving girlies, never fear, every month we host the Big Notion Energy Academy, where we go over the latest Notion releases and answer your burning questions. All right, so how's it been? It's going, girls. We are towards the end of the year. It is the end of the year rush, like everyone is feeling at the moment, which is nice, but it's also like, why are we like this? We could spread things out throughout the year, make it nice and manageable for everyone, but alas, here we are. Well, I did have a really good day yesterday. I found myself in Wandsworth. I was co-working with a friend, and it's cute. We went to a co-working space called Drop In, and we had the best arepas made out of quinoa. A place called, I literally think it's called Quinoa Arepas, but oh my goodness, fantastic, sensational, if you will. Like, they are lucky I don't live near, because that would be dangerous. They actually have two spots. There's one in Camden and one in Wandsworth. But if you're ever in Wandsworth, go to Quinoa Arepas. And if you are listening from Quinoa Arepas, slide your girls some discounts. So excited to be doing this today with Valerie, who you'll hear in a little bit, because I was actually on her podcast earlier in the year. Without further ado, let's dive into today's episode.
Hey London Business Babe. This community is built for us and by us to ungatekeep your next move and life in the city. If you never want to miss out, subscribe to the Substack where episodes will land straight in your inbox. Plus, every other Monday, you'll get a chance to feature on the show by shouting yourself out in the Manifest Monday email. You never know who's listening. Details in the show notes. Now, grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and let's get into today's interview. Super excited for today. Today, we have Valerie Morris, who is the co-founder of You've Got to Say It, an organization dedicated to bringing open communication into the corporate world in order to build work environments that foster authenticity, meaning, and true collaboration. She also recently joined the Culture First community as the chapter lead on Relational Intelligence. Thank you so much for coming onto the show today.
Thank you so much for...
How's your week going?
Yeah, good. Really enjoying the sunshine today. You don't get that very often in Ireland, so it's
nice. Yes. So on this show, we occasionally have transient London babes, as I like to call you. You're in the city every now and again, but you actually live in beautiful, beautiful Ireland now, which is so cool.
Yeah, in London is a great kind of... So it's the opposite of Ireland, really. Like, yeah, I've got that, all that tranquil nature. Get to relax in that, and then heading to London 4 or 5 times a year to really make the most of the business networks over there in the city life.
And so your job is to basically make work better. How did you get into doing what you do now?
Yeah, it's a nice way of putting it. I'd like to think that that's what we are doing. We started it as a podcast actually as well. Earlier this year in January, we launched a podcast called You've Got to Say It, which is now also the name of our organization. And initially, it was just a passion project. We just wanted to create a space where employees could share their experiences, talk about their difficulties, but also the successes they've experienced at work and in the corporate world. And we focused a lot on the corporate culture and what things are going right and maybe what things are going wrong, especially in large corporations. And that sort of developed into something more. Like, we've realized as we were doing podcasts that maybe there's a market to turn that into training. We built a website and started to frame it as a training organization. and an ongoing process. Being self-employed, starting a company, it does take time. But I've been loving it. And I feel like the feedback we've been getting from the people that we've had on the podcast, but also the people who listen to it, seems really positive. And I feel like it is starting to grow into a community of people that want to make work a better place.
Well, like sometimes it's a sensitive topic for companies because maybe everything isn't as great as it seems. How do you approach people? How do you sell yourself this in a way that doesn't make people feel like they're being attacked?
Honestly, we haven't been selling ourselves at all. Our focus is on building that community and growing that in a way that from there comes the inquiries, I guess, about, having us also work along companies, because our goal is not to like attack the way people doing things, like, because there is companies that where certain things work that don't work in others. We just want to create that awareness around how important communication is, and that if you have that awareness as a company, but also for your employees, then you have that chance to benefit your numbers, your results, because you have a happier workforce and you have people that work together much smoother because they know how to get over conflicts, how to address issues within their teams, but also with management, and how to raise feedback in a way that's constructive yet open. Our strategy isn't like, I don't feel comfortable going out and being like, hey, book me, this is what I do. I'm more focusing on, just doing what I love, building these connections and seeing where that leads. I've already met a lot of great people and opportunities have come from that. And I think that's the path we are going down.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, how do you find your clients, or how do they find you? I should say, like, are you going out and meeting people? Is it outreach? Are they finding you through content and the podcast, which I was actually on, and everyone should go listen to? Like, how do you get clients essentially?
Yes, you should go and listen to the podcast episode. Actually, it's coming out on Monday, our podcast. But yeah, in terms, like, I think it'd be easier to talk about that in regard to, at the moment, to the people we work with on the podcast, because we have not yet collaborated in any big ways with companies, because the organization, the podcast has been around since January, but I left my job in July to go fully self-employed, because I'm also a marketing consultant on the side. And so this has only really been going about August, September. So we are still in a build up. We have people approach us via email. There's a lot of people that are interested on just chatting on a podcast or sharing their story. We have had people contact us through events we held on LinkedIn. Like, I just did a co-hosted webinar today on the topic of emotional intelligence and how to navigate online conversations, and just like posts we've had on Instagram and on LinkedIn, that sort of thing.
Amazing. So, early stages, yeah, which is so exciting because you get to build it from the ground. What are some of the things as you're learning and you're putting together like your packages and how you want to frame things?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One of the big learnings has been that it is a living project. It was never really possible to be like, okay, this is going to be it, and then it doesn't change again. Like, just how, it started as just a podcast and there was never a plan to turn this into anything else. It then developed into, hey, actually we could offer some training. And then we eventually came up with our first proper product, which is Communication Buddies. I can say a few more words about that later. But yeah, and so it has been this continuous journey. And I found that every time I got too stuck on something and I felt that it has to be that way, everything kind of got blocked and I felt uninspired and I felt like I wasn't passionate and I felt like this pressure of, I have to make money with this right now. And sort of remembering that this is not the main concern, that right now I make my money in other ways. And this is really about making a positive difference. That's really helped me to keep it going and keep letting it grow into the direction that it wants to grow in. And yeah, that's been really, really helpful. And I think it taught me something for general life as well, to not be so focused on a certain plan and just see what the outcome is and where it naturally develops.
Is it just you at the moment, or do you have someone else to bounce off of?
Now I have a co-founder as well. That's Hannah. And we
Cool.
used to work together, which is how we met
Yeah.
5 years ago. She was my manager back then.
Okay.
I was on her team and grew a friendship. Through working together, we also realized that the benefits of open communication in the workplace and finding a balance between those professional boundaries, but also having that empathy and that willingness to grow relationships even in the workplace. Yeah, through that, you've got to say it started and we do it together. So our roles are slightly different as to what we do. It's a project we started together and we're doing together. It's much easier to found with someone because you always have someone to bounce ideas with and to discuss when something isn't feeling quite right, or also discuss the days where you think, why am I even doing this? Like, where's this leading?
And how do you split up the roles, I suppose, since there are two of you?
At the moment, I do most of the sort of publicity work, I guess, like anything that's social media. I also run the podcast in a way that I do all the editing and stuff. Hannah did a lot on the website. So she built our website. She's doing a lot of the annoying background work because I really don't like that stuff, which is like making sure we are data privacy conform. I'm more focused on the creative part. Yeah. And that's been working really well because I think we've both found our little areas there. And plus I just generally am a bit more involved at the moment in the day-to-day work because I am self-employed now. And so I have much more time on my hands to invest into that. And so, yeah, it's been really good.
How do you feel that affects your speed in terms of being able to progress and do things since you're not doing things that aren't your skill set?
What do you mean exactly? Like, do you mean like,
do you feel like this enables you to move quicker because you've got someone else to bounce off of and do the bits that you don't like to do?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I think as well, because there's some tasks that are kind of like those eat the frog tasks that generally you don't really want to do. Eventually you have to. And having those taken from my plate because someone else actually likes to do them and doing the same thing for them is very helpful. And it definitely moves things more quickly. Plus, I also find that when I go through a phase where I feel a little bit uninspired or I feel like we need to adjust our strategy or how we do things, I find it so helpful to just have a call and see, okay, what's Hannah's thoughts on that? Every single time afterwards, I'm back to fully motivated, on course again, and much clearer on the path we are trying to walk. I think that would be much more difficult if it was just me.
I'm curious, what are some of the strategy pivots that you've made and maybe changed direction on?
There's been quite a few. I think one of the major ones was that in the start, we positioned ourselves as a coaching provider. And that sort of changed a little bit into the direction that we were like, well, we don't want to necessarily coach. It's more like a training situation. And also, I think in the start, we were really focused on companies as a higher level, management, which later on we were like, actually, we can really involve all employees. It's not just a matter of management needs the training or could benefit from that. And then there was also little things like the way we engage on social media, like it's something we constantly review to see actually which platforms do really make sense for us, which don't. And we are also going to be rebranding the podcast. Yeah, I don't want to tell too much about that yet, but it is in the works. So from the new year, January, there'll be quite a few changes to that as well.
Very exciting. And so I feel like there's a nuance that not many people talk about that you just picked up on there. Like, so what's the difference between offering training and coaching for you?
For me personally, I think it's like a bit of I don't want to say a negative ring to it, but there is a lot of talented, amazing coaches out there. There's also a big amount of coaches in that sort of realm that call themselves a coach, but aren't that well trained in that area. I've always found it hard. I don't necessarily want to go and call myself a coach because it doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't take amazing coaches, but it just for me personally, it doesn't resonate. We've also found that when it comes to communication skills, it's not something where you just coach people into doing it. I think it's something where it really needs active involvement and training in a way where you engage them. For example, a coach might tell you how a certain thing should be done on a factual level. They might, tell about a concept and how it works. Training for me is much more
like hands-on.
Yeah, hands-on. Yeah, exactly. It really pulls people in and gets them to try these things, find out for themselves why they should be engaging in it.
Absolutely. And what kind of format do you offer that training? Is it self-serve? Do you do group trainings? Is it ongoing? What have you found to be the most effective so far?
We offer a couple of things. One is consulting to more like higher level management. But our main product that we've rolled out not that long ago, a few months ago, is communication buddies. And the way That's positioning itself is that the idea is that a company can book a certain amount of hours, like a contingent of, let's say, 50 hours a month, and their employees can use that. So, for example, it could be that the employees themselves say, hey, you know what, I have this like issue at work. It might be that they have some feedback they need to share, but they don't know how. They're having a conflict with a colleague. They don't know how to address it. And so the idea is that they can call us, communication buddies, and talk to us like they would to a mate, but someone who maybe has a little bit more insight in that area. So the idea is that A, they get it off their chest. They have someone to talk to vent where they feel. The idea is also to help them gain that skill and help them to find a solution as to how they might address that and how they might talk to that person that's involved with it about this. And the other option as well is that during that contingent, companies can also use that for mediation. So, for example, if there's a team with 6 people and there's 2 that just have very different communication styles or very different personalities and they keep butting their heads, it could also be that the team lead goes, hey, you know what, guys, I'd like to do a communication buddy session with you, where we then talk to both of them and go, hey, like really openly, what is it in the other person's behavior that might trigger you, and how can we maybe refrain our thinking about that?
That's so cool. Is it almost like business therapy?
Yeah. It's a little bit like that. And at the same, because I think the way Hannah and I are, it's also like we wanted to have that feeling of talking to someone like a friend, Of course, that's not always easy when it's someone who is a stranger, but the idea is it's not meant to be super formal. How it is to give people that space that they might not find in their companies. And then the idea is, that spreads. Like, because if one person starts to grow their awareness and work on their communication skills, the next one might as well. And we can't forget about the system itself, because it's not only up to the individual. Once we receive a certain amount of input from employees, which is all anonymous. We don't share that with management. But the idea is that we look if there's any themes that keep arising. So it might be that several employees have an issue with the exact same thing. And then that's clearly a systematic issue, not something that comes down to individual differences. And then we can carry that to management to say, hey, look, this is something that's up to you guys. And how can we address that? And then we can support them as well and making that better for the employees on a more systematic level.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the common things that you see that you're often mentioning?
Actually, we had this conversation a few days ago about how, with the people we had on the podcast, there was quite a few employees from all sorts of different backgrounds and industries, and also team leads, managers, just general employees. And one thing that's been really interesting was the way people look at company culture and also at benefits. Because if you look for a job, for example, the benefits that are on that website, on job application, whatever, usually focus on very materialistic things. Like it might be a football table or a good insurance package, which is obviously great. But when I ask this question in our podcast and I say, hey, what is something that's important to you when it comes to company culture, when it comes to the benefits that you receive, it's always very fundamental traits rather than things. So it will be like trust, having the ability to speak up, feeling safe at work, things, which shows that people crave that even in the workplace. It's not as simple as saying, well, this is corporate, so please adjust to that. We need to save time here. We need to be effective. There's no place here for humanness. Yet every person I've talked to, it wants exactly that and is trying to get more of that, because we spend so much time at work. Of course, we will crave connection.
And how does a company build that trust if it's an issue that they have? How do you go about starting to build that within a company?
I think that's not really a question where there's an easy answer, because it very much depends on the company. And what the actual issues are. In one company, it might be that communication is just not very transparent or tends to be breaking at some point, maybe during when it hits middle management, and then something different arrives with the employees in terms of information. Or it might be that their problem lays somewhere completely different, where maybe they foster a culture of overworking and people getting burnt out. You would then approach that from very, very different perspectives and from different angles as to how to build trust in a place like this. But fundamentally, for all of these cases, what is really important is open communication and to involve the people, like not just the managers, not just the team leads, involve the people, and not in a way where you actually set up a meeting and really ask them for genuine input, involve the people that do the work for you if you're management.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this where the relational intelligence part of the work that you do comes in? Yeah, tell us more about that. What is relational intelligence?
Yeah, open communication or like the ability to communicate effectively is definitely a part of relational intelligence. Relational intelligence also includes things like emotional intelligence, where you're able to understand and emphasize with people and have that capacity to listen and respond from a place of reflection and self awareness rather than just reactivity. So it's a fairly large concept. And I think all of what we do is sort of focused on that, like getting back to this idea that we are human beings who crave to connect, who crave to have relationships, and to remind people that no matter where they nurture these relationships, whether that's in their private life or at work, there is a big payout for that because we strive when we have that. And now with the corporate world being more and more focused on efficiency, on automation, a lot of people feel burnt out, feeling like something is off. They don't know why. I think taking the attention and putting that a little bit again on that human factor, even if it's on an individual level, can really help to create that sense of meaning that a lot of people these days lack in their work. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where that whole relational intelligence plays into it. And the work I do with Culture First, maybe I should give a quick rundown. Culture First
Yes.
is a volunteer organization that was founded by Culture Amp, which is a company that make like HR software. And they started Culture First, I think, in 2019. And there's like over 150 chapters now worldwide. And their whole idea is to make work a better place through whatever, like, like there's lots of people involved with that have all sorts of different approaches, just like we do what we do, and they've come together, and these chapters that they've got, they usually run either in certain cities. So for example, there's a chapter in London as well, or topic based, like there's a chapter for mental health at work, for example, and then there's a chapter that I'm running, which is relational intelligence at work. And then for those chapters, the volunteers, they organize events, and it's completely up to them what exactly these events look like. And there's like funding from Culture First as well. And the idea is that, yeah, you just create that awareness and give employees, give professionals, any kind of worker, also self-employed people, anyone who's interested in that, give them a place to share and to connect with people and have that sense of community. And it's been really good. I had an event last week, the first one, where we played the new Esther Perel card game, Where Should We Begin at Work? So it's sort of like a game of stories where you share a lot about work experience and skills and things. And then I'm doing one next month in December, which is called Exploring Individual Differences Through Creativity. And that's all about, we might see that there's a lot of benefit in that. And yeah, just being more aware of, how we can use that in a positive way.
Are these events online? Like, how do people get involved with joining them?
Yeah, the Culture First has a website that anybody can enter, and all the chapters are listed there. So if you're a certain city and you want to join, for example, in-person events, you can just look for your city and see if it has a chapter. The chapter has a site on the website where all the upcoming events are listed. And the ones I'm doing are mostly virtual because it is a global chapter. I am also planning, because I'm in London regularly and also in Germany and Ireland, that eventually when the chapter has grown a little bit and has a few more members, then I'd also like to get into the habit of having in-person events, especially when I live closer to the city again, because I do think there's a lot of benefit in that, and it's quite lovely to connect with people in real life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Also great to make people aware about the work that you do, and if they want to collaborate with your company as well. Sometimes forget about how volunteering for things like this is a powerful client awareness machine as well, and finding that the case for you?
I can't actually say whether I've only just started that volunteering maybe
Yeah.
months ago. I definitely think it's a great way to connect with people and to get to know people and have them know you. And I think it's also a way to do that it doesn't feel so, I don't know.
It's like you're all part of the same mission. And if
Exactly.
they want to work with you, great. If they want to recommend you to someone else, fantastic.
Exactly. It just feels more natural where I'm like, well, I'm just trying to do something good, create some value. If someone wants to take that into any other direction, they can. We'll see how it goes. The events themselves are very much focused on just the connection. Like there's even these values that Culture First sort of lives for. And one of them is connection inside, business outside, which means that during the events, there's no advertisement or anything like that. It's really about the community part of it. But then if you want to connect outside of these events and maybe have a project together or hire someone that you met, then that's obviously great. And I think it's a good way to meet people that have good intentions and do good work.
Yeah, absolutely. And how are you balancing all of this work with, you said earlier that you were still a marketing consultant. So how are you balancing the work with the Culture First community with your existing marketing work?
It's kind of like, well, I'm still getting used to it, let's say. It's still fairly fresh, all of it, like 3 months. Generally, what I do is about 3 days a week of client work, like consulting work, which is like all like startups marketing consulting. With Culture First, there isn't much organization required. I come up with an event, schedule it, and make sure that we'll get the emails, and then it's the event itself for the connection part. But there isn't ongoing work that I have to do every single week. So that's not too bad. And say, I mean, that's my baby, that's our baby.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to do that whenever it feels quite good. The only thing I really try to do is to keep my weekends as free as possible. Definitely always Sunday. I don't work on Sundays, not for any religious reasons, just because I think it's important to have these boundaries. And
Yeah.
Saturdays, I work really hard during the week, but then I'll make sure I get a break over the weekend.
Yeah, no, you can't rest. You've got to say it, you've got to rest.
Yeah.
And to round off this section, I'm always curious, what did you want to be as a child in terms of job?
I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it was just my big dream, I think, until I was about maybe 14. And then I did an internship at the veterinarian. And I realized that I don't think I would have the capacity to put pets down.
Yeah.
So now I think about it differently depending on the circumstance. But I remember quite clearly that put me off. I have a little sausage dog.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah.
I love sausage dogs.
Yeah.
They're so funny. When I see them walk, I'm like, oh, there he goes.
People think she's a Jack Russell because her color pattern is very unusual. And she has quite long legs as well. So she kind of looks a bit like a Jack Russell, but yeah.
What's her name?
Couscous.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, shout out to Cusco.
Via email.
Is she liking the transition to island?
Yeah. I think it was hard for her at first as well. Just a bit weird going from city life to, this. Plus, she had to be on the plane twice, and she had never been on a plane before.
Oh, okay.
But
amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your business journey with us. I also love catching people at the beginning of what they're doing as well. It's a really exciting place to be in. The world's your oyster, basically, with regards to this. Please do check back in with us when things have progressed. I'd love to hear how things have changed.
Definitely. Thank you so much for all the very thoughtful questions as well.
My absolute pleasure.
Hope you're enjoying the show. Would love to hear what you're thinking. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. Even better, if you're loving the show, take 2 seconds to rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcast. It really helps other people find us. And if you want to be a guest, details in the show notes on how to sign up. Now, let's jump back in.
But now let's transition to things that bring you joy. So I always like to start off this section with music. Are there any songs that get you hyped and ready for the day?
I don't actually listen to music in the morning, to be honest. But one band that gets me hyped a lot for, 12 years, I'd say, is Milky Chance.
Oh, what is that?
Yeah, that's actually a German band. English, they are globally known at this point, but they have this nice genre where it's kind of going into the electronic music direction, which I'm a big fan of, but also like this kind of alternative element to it. I love
Hey, the Germans know how to do good electronic music.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you want good techno, you come to Germany.
Earlier, you mentioned that you don't work on Sundays. Do you have any other personal policies that keep you grounded?
I think the no work on the weekends is an important one for me. Otherwise, I try to go outside at least once a day, which I also kind of have to because of the dog. So that helps a lot.
Yeah, that is a very strategic thing. Fair enough. And then when it comes to style as well, do you have a style uniform? Any pieces that you lean on? Any brands that you love?
Not really, to be honest. I am a big lover of op shops. I love to shop secondhand. Vinted, the online platform.
Love Vinted.
Yeah. So
Obsessed.
I feel like that's why I couldn't really pick a brand. It's really random, just whatever looks good at the op shop.
Do you have any style icons that you love how they dress?
No one famous. One of my good
Yeah.
friends is an absolute style icon to me, to be honest. She's French. Her whole taste is just very kind of 60s, 70s, and she always looks absolutely beautiful.
Ah, amazing. Is there anything that you're hunting for at the moment?
No, not at the moment. I just recently found the last piece that I was really looking for a long time, which was a rain jacket for running, like an exercise one.
Yeah.
Sport, like so much. I got an Asics one, which is kind of expensive brand.
Nice.
And it was brand new, like the jacket. It had the tag, but it was
Yeah.
only like a third of the price. So
Incredible. That happens so much.
yeah.
I think it's because people forget to return things and it's like, oh, I can't choose it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Very cool. And then when it comes to beauty, do you have any hero products that you consistently use to be hair, skincare, makeup, anything like that?
I'm a big fan of natural beauty products. There is a brand in Germany called Alverde, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
Kind of low chemicals, low additives and all that. So that one's really good. And I also really like the hair and body mist from Rituals.
And then on the tech side of things, are there any tools that you love in your tech stack that you would recommend?
You mean like programs and stuff or actual gadgets?
Oh, it'd be both. Just anything that helps you get work done quicker, for example, in your podcasting or productivity, anything like that.
What I find really helpful is any kind of organization tools. I use Trello to sort of plan my client work and any projects I have on the go. That's extremely helpful for me. I'm also a big fan these days of Slack, like even Hannah and I. And it's really helpful because we used to just always talk over WhatsApp, but we would mix, our private friendship business with You've Got to Say and it became kind of chaos. So we switched to Slack for anything business related. That's been a game changer for sure.
Nice. It's just like, don't talk to me about dinner. His work. Love that note. I can definitely see that being useful. I have a few friends I do that with. I'm just like, if it's on WhatsApp, it's urgent. If it's on Instagram, it's whatever. I'll get to it when I can. If it's on Slack or email, I'm like, this is Christmas.
Yeah.
It's like compartmentalized.
It's definitely helpful and necessary, especially when you are mixing friendship with business, because I think otherwise you maybe end up blurring the lines and then someone is annoyed and then it affects your friendship as well. And so it's nice to make space for that individually.
And how about business resources that make you a better business person? It could be books, podcasts, newsletters, anything that you would recommend.
Honestly, the conversations that I have with people, the conversations on the podcast, but also just the conversations I have in general life. My biggest inspiration for what we do with You've Got to Say It. And yeah, really, because obviously they're all very different depending on who you talk to, big variety of opinions and insights. So that's my greatest source of inspiration for sure.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that. I love hearing all the insights that people give away on this podcast. It's fascinating.
So hey again. Did you know there are roughly 100,000 London business babes out there? And we're on a mission to reach as many as possible. Enjoying what you hear? To support the hours of work that goes into making this special, you can either A, consider supporting directly as a paid monthly Substack subscriber to also unlock future exclusive content for less than a coffee and a croissant. B, Any brands listening? We'd love to explore ways for you to be part of the journey. See, at the very least, on your next co-working date, tell a fellow London business babe about us. Details in the show notes. Now let's jump back in.
Thank you for sharing your lifestyle gems. It's now we're going to talk a little bit about London. You are what I like to call London transient. You come to London a handful of times per year, but is there anything on your London bucket list?
Yes, because I will be there next week, and I really want to go to the London Christmas markets. I'm a big lover of Christmas markets.
Do you know which ones you want to go to? Because there are a few.
I did do a little bit of research, but honestly, if you have any advice on which ones you'd recommend, then please do share.
Yeah, I think South Bank is always a good bet, but you also have cute Christmas markets like in Greenwich Village, Kingston actually, which is a little bit out of London, but they've got their own Christmas markets. I would just do a search of London Christmas markets and there will definitely be a few that pop up. South Bank is the main one, but if you want something a bit more cutesy and less touristy, then definitely take a look at the other ones as well.
Nice, I will do that. I think the first one that popped up, it looked like a fun fair, the one in Hyde Park. It was like a roller coaster.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So that is Winter Wonderland. I guess it is a Christmas market. It's a whole thing. It's an experience.
Wow. Yeah, I have high
It
expectations
is.
too, because Germany has like the best Christmas markets ever.
I really want to go when it's like snowing and it feels like film, that kind of a vibe. Do you have any recommendations for the best German Christmas markets?
I don't think I could say the best because there's many I have not been to because they are literally everywhere. One in Dresden is really nice. So that's East Germany. The oldest Christmas market in Germany. It's called Striezel Market. It's beautiful.
Cool.
Definitely recommend checking that one out.
Okay, hopping back into London. Do you, when you come here, do you have any places that you return to, like to eat, drink, etc.?
I tend to stay in like the Hackney Wick sort of neighborhood,
Yeah, that's fair.
which is really nice. And there is a cafe, and I'm trying to remember its name. I think it's called the Thingy Cafe or Thing and Thing. I cannot remember, unfortunately, but that is just one that I have been to a few times and that I really like because it has like this little like green backyard. And so you sit on that big window and it kind of looks real tranquil and yeah, just nice. I really like that one. And I also love when I'm in London to walk along the canal.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice.
Since you love Hackney Wick and the canal area, definitely check out a place called Grow if you haven't already, which is probably one of my favorite places. It's such a cool setup. You can sit outside. They have really good kind of like Middle Eastern type foods and wraps, and on Thursdays they do jazz and stuff. Yeah, it's just a good time.
Oh, that sounds really nice. Love a good jazz session as well. Did you say it was called Grow or Growth?
Grow.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. I think on Fridays they do like a house music night. I don't know if that's every Friday, but I did go to one last Friday. So,
Good to know. Maybe I should hit you up next time.
yeah,
And
please
you
do.
can
We
show
give our
me.
coffee or something.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Any excuse to come back to Hackney Wick. Amazing. Cool. And then in terms of communities that you're part of, because you're a global human, are there any other online communities that you would recommend for building your network apart from Culture First?
Cannot think of any others. In terms of actual online community, that is the only one I'm a part of. All the other things I've done in terms of volunteering and all that's been more like offline or like actual organizations in terms of companies rather than community networks. So just that one so far I can definitely recommend because they have such a broad choice in terms of the events they offer. I feel like everybody can find something, because there's so many volunteers that are putting on the events and they all have their own like creative ideas as to what they want to put on. I think that it's quite cool and very much choice.
Very cool. Everyone go check out Culture First and go along to Valerie's events. I'll put the link in the show notes for people to find it as well.
Sounds great.
Don't worry if it's a lot to take in. All of the amazing tools, spots, and recommendations mentioned by our guests can be found in the Coffee and Oysters guide. Details in the show notes.
Thank you so much for sharing a few of your London gems and bucket list places. Now we are going to wrap up the show. On this show, we are all about celebrating people, but not just yourselves, but also other people that you are proud of. And so first question, what is a recent win for yourself that you'd like to celebrate and a recent win of someone else's that you would like to celebrate?
Sounds good. A recent win for somebody else I'd like to celebrate. Now I have to decide which one I go for. Now, actually, a friend and also a founder of mine who recently messaged me just a few days ago and was really happy because she's been putting a lot of effort into her LinkedIn and getting her organization out into the world. And this is finally starting to pay off and it's really growing. And so shout out to Alyssa from Digital Peace, who's doing a lot of important work around the ethical use of AI and technology and all these things. And yeah, she's great and very deserved that she's celebrating this right now.
Very cool. Shout out to Alyssa. And for yourself?
Honestly, probably my recent events that I've put on with Culture First, but also the webinar I was co-hosting today, which was actually with Alyssa, because that's something that's still out of my comfort zone. I love it, but it's also terrifying. Having had a few of those recently, I've become much more confident in hosting, and that has definitely been a big win for me.
Nice, very nice. And then second question, the wrap up, I always like to say, you never know who's listening. Is there anything that you would like to plug, and is there anything that you need help with?
I think something that I'd promote, of course, is helping people to develop their communication skills. So I always have an open ear for people who would like to work on that, even individuals, not just companies, but just people in general. In terms of what I'd like to plug, I think I'd love the opportunity at some point to speak at an event, because I think that is something very far out of my comfort zone and I'd really like to practice to do it. Yeah, I think it would be a great experience.
If anyone needs a speaker, especially about how to communicate better in companies, please hit Valerie up. And then where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, actually, just Valerie Morris. You can also find me through the Culture First chapter for Relational Intelligence. There's also some contact details on there. And you can email me at valerie@you'vegottosayit.com.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really excited for this to go out, and we are wishing you the best of luck with growing. It was shitty.
Thank you so much, Francis. It was lovely. Thanks for the opportunity and really great chat.
Thanks for listening. Get in touch at coffeeandoysters@gmail.com. Stay connected at Coffee and Oysters Pod on TikTok and Instagram. And never miss out by subscribing to Substack. Details in the show notes. And most importantly, keep those 5-star ratings coming and see you next time.